Jill!
Brad!
We've gotta... Jill! Help! No!
The myth of the perfect pursuer. The step that never fails. The terror that doesn't wait. There are monsters that frighten, creatures that jump, shadows that crawl. But there is a much more rare kind. One that doesn't need surprise. No tricks. No hiding. A being that doesn't attack. It advances. It doesn't hide. It hunts. And throughout the history of video games, dozens of pursuers have emerged. Each with its own style. Each with its own language. Each with its own way of creating fear. But all of them, absolutely all of them, walk in the shadow of one name. A name that defines the absolute peak of pursuit. A force that doesn't follow the player, it sentences them. Nemesis. Today we are going to cross decades of evolution, from the most primitive form of pursuit to the cruelest form of intelligence, from cheap jump scares to inevitable horror, from the pursuit that you can avoid to the one that doesn't allow you to breathe. And at the end of this journey, one question becomes unavoidable. Why, after so many years, so many games, and so many monsters, does the crowd still belong to him? Before names existed, the concept of a pursuer was simple. A trick, a trigger, a limited mechanic. In the early days back in the 80s, Pac-Man ghosts were one of the first attempts. 4 entities following mathematical patterns. They chased the player, but there was no intention, no intelligence, no sense that something rational was coming just for you. It was pursuit at its most primitive level, almost childish, almost innocent, which was an embryo. Over time a horror matured, and then in 1995 Scissorman was born, in Clock Tower, perhaps the first real pursuer in video game history. He had presence, he knew your name, he appeared without warning. He showed up when you weren't ready, but he was still limited. He could lose you, he could disappear, he could be avoided. He was threatening, but he was inevitable. Then in the late 90s a new concept took shape, the retinaless super soldier, and Mr. X from Resident Evil 2 became the face of this new stage. A pursuer that was smarter, more calculated, heavier. He didn't run, he didn't scream, he just walked, and that was enough. He represented real progress, but he didn't redefine the genre. He was still predictable, he would still follow fixed rules. He was still an event, not a living force. The world needed something more, something above everything that was existed before, something that would transform pursuit into conscious, even present threat. And in the dark laboratories of Umbrella, that something was being created. Umbrella didn't want just a monster, they wanted an execution instrument, a weapon that breathed purpose, that obeyed without a question, that pursued without hesitation. The Titans had been promised an experiment, strong, resilient, devastating, but limited. They weren't intelligent enough, not adaptable enough, not fast enough. They came the Neo-Alpha Paradise, a living, aggressive organism designed to fuse with a host and assume the role of an external brain, not to think better, but to pursue better. He redefined and imposed, directed aggressions, eliminate hesitation. When Neo-Alpha found a compatible host, something was born, something that couldn't be controlled, unreleased, something that didn't need explanation, only a target. The world would call this creation Nemesis. He wasn't just an evolution of the Titans, he was the finalized idea, the perfect prototype, the peak of biological engineering. A being that feels no pain, no fear, no doubt, no urgency, he only feels direction. And when he emerges for the first time uttering "Stars" in a voice that almost mechanical, almost human, almost animal, the player understands something no game had ever communicated with such purity. He's coming for me and I can't stop him. For the 1999 onward, all had changed forever. Until then, pursuers appeared at specific moments, in specific rooms, at points chosen by the developer. Nemesis respected none of that. He didn't appear, he invaded. He didn't follow the game, he broke the game. He didn't wait for the next scene, he smashed it through the wall and curated his own entrance. He was the first pursuer in game history to cross transition zones, the first to chase the player during free exploration, the first to use heavy weapons while hunting, the first to destroy the environment just to keep moving forward. He elevated pursuit at an entire different level. Before him, the player could run and breathe. Doors were safety, hallways were limits, walls were boundaries. With Nemesis, none of that existed. Nothing held, nothing protected, nothing stopped him. He followed you through open areas, closed space, hallways, alleys, destroyed streets, even safe zones. Player confidence vanished, hope shrunk, the rhythm of play changed, and this dynamic, this constant shifting piece, the feeling of being watched, monitored, corrected, turned Nemesis into something impossible to replicate. But many tried. After Nemesis, the entire genre was reshaped, and every pursuit that followed carries some of its influence. In 2001, Silent Hill 2 introduced Pyram Head, one of the most iconic pursuits ever created, but he didn't chase with intention, he chased with meaning. He was a metaphor, not hunt. In 2005, Hunting Ground showed a pursuer that learned from the player, that studied fear, that reacted to wickedness, a different form of terror. In 2010, Amnesia reinvented psychological horror. Its pursuits were less physical and more mental, and still they lacked Nemesis' aggression, presence, and violence. In 2013, Outlast bringing Chris Walker, brutal, fast, and predictable. His pursuit was frantic, visceral, heart-pounding, but despite his strength, he followed rigid rules, cycles, structural limitations. In 2014, Alien Isolation introduced the most intelligent Xenomorph ever programmed, dynamic learning, spontaneous movement, unpredictable attacks. Yet, even it had limits, patrol zones, standby states, invisible manuals. None of them erased boundaries, none destroyed the environment to keep pursuing, none chased across entire levels without restraint. All of them were sophisticated, all of them were threatening, all of them were iconic, but none reached the same place, because all of them came after, with more technology, with more graphical power, more AI tools, more design freedom, and even so, none replicated the feeling of absolutely inevitability that Nemesis delivered in 1999. And why? Why is Nemesis, despite being older, more limited, more primitive in polygon and count, is it still considered the apex? The answer isn't singular, it is layered. Nemesis is the apex because he unites every component of a perfect pursuer. Brutal force, a colossus that crushes, throws, obliterates. Real speed, he runs after the player, a rarity at the time. Infinite persistence, ignoring roads, limits, level design logic. Variable reach, body, weapons, tentacles. Dynamic evolution, damage strengthens him, environment reshape him. Absolutely purpose, no distraction, no deception, no hesitation. Iconic presence, the silhouette, the voice, the stitched face. Everything so remarkable. But there is something deeper. Every pursuer before him tried to scare you, to surprise you, to catch you off guard. Nemesis doesn't try, Nemesis executes. He's not a jump scare, not a scene, not an event. He's certainty. He's not a predator, he's a sentence. He doesn't represent just physical danger, he represents the destiny inside the game. He represents pursuit, not as a mechanic, but as a philosophy. And that's just why, even today, decades later, with vastly superior graphic engines, complex AI, unimaginable technology, no pursuer has matched the universal, emotional, structural impact of Nemesis. He didn't need to come last, he didn't need to learn from others, he didn't need to evolve over time. He is where evolution ends. Everyone walks toward him, everyone is compared to him, everyone is measured against him. It doesn't matter if they came before or after, if they're smarter, faster, more realistic, more complex, if they use superior technology, if they rely on more sophisticated tactics. In the end, they all stop at the same name: Nemesis, the greatest pursuer of all time. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel, like in the video, and I see you in the next video. Bye.